We shall discuss today about the class 10 CBSE mathematics. Since now I have done two videos for the class 10 CBSE mathematics. One is for the introductory part of real number, in which I covered the Euclid's algorithm and Euclid's lemma. In addition to this, the second video I have covered for the fundamental theorem of arithmetic. For this, in this chapter, I will continue in my today's video, which will be discuss about the irrational number and rational number and their decimal expansion. Again, irrational number and rational number in their decimal expansion. In my first video, I already explained you about the real numbers. Still, today I will explain again about the real number. In a real number, if you say in a real number, you can say the two parts are there. One is the rational numbers, and another part is the irrational numbers. Okay, in the rational number, you can divide it into the two parts again. One is the integers, another one is the non-integers. The integers again divided into two parts. One is the negative integer, and another one is the whole numbers. The whole number again divided into two parts. One is the 0, another one is the positive integer. This we can say the flow chart of the real number means the entire parts means 0, positive number, negative number, integers, non-integers, irrational, all were contribute to a real number. Now, we already covered up to this much from your lower class, and if we added one thing, the rational number and irrational number also you have covered in class 9th your mathematics. But the thing is, we shall discuss today about something more about the irrational number, and in addition to this, we also discuss something more about the rational number. First of all, we just go to the irrational number. What is the speciality? We will discuss the irrational number. First of all, I want to tell you what is the rational number and what is the irrational number. If you will be say the rational number is the number which we can express in the form of p by q, the q should not be 0. Then if you think, sir, if the q is the 0, what is the big deal? See, if the q is 0, then what will happen? Any number I can express as the p by 0, you know, this we can define, not define, or in mathematics it is a typical term is the infinity, and infinity is the number we cannot define now. That's why the q should not be 0. And what about if p will be 0? If the p will be 0, the entire fraction will be 0, and this will be in real number part only. But in the infinity is nowhere mentioned here. That's why the rational number we cannot mention as the q should be the 0, and simply we can say p by q and q should not be 0. And for the irrational number, the p by q we cannot express in the form of p by q. We cannot express in the form of p by q, where q not equals to 0. This is the basic difference between the rational number and irrational number. Now let's discuss with something more about the irrational number. First, our topic is the one theorem. We deal with the one theorem. Which theorem says, let p be a prime number, a be any integer, then if p divides a square, then p divides a. This is our first theorem. Now we shall discuss this theorem. I already said you, let p be a prime number and a be a positive integer. If p divides a square, then p divides a. The first of all, we should discuss some typical terms here. What is a prime number? I already told you, a number which has no factors except one and itself. That is a prime number. Then here the prime number we took as the p. What is the p here? One is the variable, means whose value we cannot say is a fixed value. The value what we may take from the prime numbers, that is everything is the p. And a be a positive integer. What is the a here? Any positive integer. Okay, and generally this may be the composite number. If p divides a square, then p divides a. If the p is a prime number which divides the a square, then we have to prove that p also divides the a. Then here, if you divide this part into two parts, the let from the let up to a square is the part which is given to us to take this as the property or the sentences for your correspondence and prove this statement p divides a. That means what? Here is given p is a prime number. It is given already. And a be a positive integer, means it is also given a also a positive integer. And if p divides a square, means it is already said you that p divides the a square. But he was saying if these conditions are okay, then p divides a. This condition whether it is okay or not, as is a theorem, it is okay. But we should show that it is okay, which was p divides a. Means our basic target is that we have to prove p divides a. How we are proving? Just use the see this one. See, I am proving. See, let a, here is given a be a positive integer. Let a be any positive integer and the given statement is p divides the a square. This is the given statement and this is also given statement, and p is the prime number, it is already given. Then I can represent if a be any positive integer, then a equal to p1 into p2 into p3 to dot pn or anything else like that. Here see, a is the any positive integer in which if we will be prime factorize that, then what we'll get here we'll get p1 into p2 into p3 into dot pn. Or if you won't write the pn also, simply put the dots. It indicates that the p is the number p1 and p2 p3 p4. We are not simply, since now we are not corresponding p with the p1 and p2. We are simply representing p1 p2 p3 are the sum of the prime numbers, which are, if they will multiply, will get the a. And here the p1 p2 p3 not necessarily distinct. What is not necessarily distinct? Distinct means different numbers. We cannot say these are the different numbers. They may be same number, they may be different numbers. You can say that if you take the 12, then 2 into 2 4 into 3 12, means here 2, the number 2 repeats 2 times. That means the 1 2 and another 2 both have the distinct numbers, sorry, non-distinct numbers, and if 3 is the 2 3 are the distinct numbers. Then here the statement is given. Here these p1 p2 p3 p1 p2 p3, these all are not necessarily distinct. Not necessarily distinct. Okay. Then what will happen? Just I will find the a square here. A square equal to, I will multiply the 2a p1 p2 p3 dot pn into p1 p2 p3 dot pn. Then what we will get? A square equal to p1 square p2 square p3 square, sorry, p3 square into pn square. That means what? These all are the one of the factors of a square. But what we have known, we know p divides the a square, means p is the factor of a square. that we know from the previous theorem, from the fundamental theorem of arithmetic, there will be any if the factors are the unique, means p1, p2, p3 up to we'll get the pn square. This all should be the unique numbers which are the factors of the a square. But already we know from the given statement p divides the a square, means p is also the number for the a square, the factor for the a square. That means what we are getting, again I am saying p1 square, p2 square, p3 square dot pn square are the every numbers are the factors of the a square. But we already know p is the factor of the a square, means what the fundamental theorem of arithmetic says, the factors which we are getting, these all are the unique for a given composite number. Just you remind for the factor theorem, what it says, every composite number can be represented as the product of the prime numbers, and they are the unique numbers. And as these are the unique numbers, we can clearly say this p is also the one of the factor from the p1 to pn, means this p number also the within the p1 to pn. Then we can clearly say p is the factor of the a square. As we know, p1 to pn is a, again I am saying this p is one of the number in p1, p2, p3 dot pn. Then we can clearly say p is the one number within this one. As you know, a equal to p1 into p2 into p3 dot pn. That means what? P should be within this number. If p is within this number, then surely p is also factor of the a. Then we can clearly say if p divides the a square, then p divides the a. Understand? Then now we'll move to some of the questions which we will be deal to solve the exercise. We'll solve the question root is irrational. But for solving this question, means here this is not a proof, rather it is a question, we can say. Why? Because we are saying the question, because here we have to use the contradictory method. What is this contradictory method? This contradictory method implies the method in which we use a false statement and we will say at the end of this solution the statement is false. If this statement is false, what the statement is initially present, that is true. Again I am saying here I am using the contradictory method. In this contradictory method, I will take a statement, not this statement. This is already the statement which we have to prove. But as I am not saying this is a proof, rather I am saying the solution, only the reason I am using the contradictory method. In this contradictory method, I will take a false statement. Any statement, if I write a false statement, and at the end of the statement, I will say this: what I took the statement is wrong, and what the statement is present, that is the true. See how it was happening. Let's take the question is given root is the irrational. Then the answer should be, how I will start seeing, let root 2 is rational. Root 2 is a rational number. If root 2 is a rational number, then how we can represent? Already we know, if any number is a rational number, we can simply represent as the form of p by q. P by q is a form that does not embrace everything. We can represent the p by q. Means we will write the p and q only. P by q is a form, means 1 by 2 is also one of the p by q form. 5 by 6 is also one of the p by q form. 10 by 12 also is one of the p by q form. In the same way, root 2 is also number is a rational number. Then we can represent in the p by q form. Then root 2 equal to, I will write as the r by s. Let's think r by s is the sum number. Let's take 10 by 12. Then you can simply say, if this is 10 by 12, if you divide the 10 by 12, if you divide this 10 by 12 by 2, then what will get? 5 by 6. And this 5 by 6 5 and 6 both are co-primes. What is co-prime? What is co-prime? The co-prime are the numbers which has only one factor, that is 1. The co-prime are the numbers which have the common factor is the 1, nothing else. That's why 5 and 6 both have the co-prime as because they have common factor as the 1 and nothing else. That's why R by S also this type of P by Q form. If we divide A with the common factor, if we divide by a common factor to R by S, then we get what we get? Another number that is also in the P by Q form. What is that number? Let's take, I will take, this is the A by B. We get A by B. Then root 2 equal to A by B. Now here A and B are the two co-primes, are the two numbers are the co-primes, and they have no common factor except 1. Now here A and B are co-prime numbers which has only 1 as a factor, as a common factor. Understand? Are you getting my point? What I said you, root 2 is a rational number, is a statement is given, but I use the contradiction method in which I took the root as a rational number. If root 2 is a rational number, then I can represent root 2 as R by S. If R by S is there any common factor, we are dividing, and after dividing we got the A by B, then root 2 equal to A by B, where A and B are the co-primes which has a common factor as the 1. Now I will write in such a way, root 2 into B equal to A. Simply I can use the cross multiplication method. Now squaring on both sides, what we'll get? We'll get here 2B square equal to A square. Understand? Root 2 square 2, B square, A square, A square. Then what will happen? You can simply use the theorem, what I taught you. If here it is a 2B square, let's think B square is the one number. A square equal to 2 into that number. Means what? This is the 2 is the prime number. Let's think P. This P divides the A square. Then obviously P divides the A. That I can write here 2 divides the A square, then 2 divides the A. I will write here in such a way. Here 2 divides the A square, then 2 divides A. Using the theorem we can say. Then I will write A equal to, let's take 2m. Okay. Then if A equal to 2m, hence what will happen? 2b square equal to A square. What is the A here? 2m square. Then this will be 2b square equal to 4m square. If I divide 2 on both sides, what I will get? B square equal to 2m square. Now again the same condition, I just see. Here 2b square equal to A square, then 2 divides the A square, then 2 divides the A. In the same way, if P 2 divides the A square, then 2 divides the A. The same condition, here 2m square is the one number, where if 2 divides the B square, then 2 divides the A also. Here I can write, here 2 divides B square, then 2 divides B. Now you see, we got a two statement. one statement is 2 divides the a square, then 2 divides the a. It is a statement what we have seen by the theorem, what we have written this statement. This is the statement what we have written. In the same way, here also what we have written this statement. Here see, here 2 divides the a, here 2 divides the a, and here 2 divides the b. Means here the 2 divides the a and 2 divides the b. Means both where the common factor is the 2. But what we have written here, here a and b are co-prime numbers, which is only one as the common factor. But what we have seen, here a and b have the common factor as the 2. Means simply we can understand that 2 is the common factor for a and b now. But our statement which we have taken is wrong. If this statement is wrong, this statement is wrong. Then we can also say root 2 equal r by s also wrong. If root 2 equal r by s is wrong, means what? We cannot represent the number in the form of p by q. It simply implies the root 2 is a rational number. Statement is completely wrong. Means it contradicts our statement. It contradicts our statement that is root 2 is a rational number. Then we can simply say root 2 is an irrational number. That I am writing in language. See. Here, from the above, we can say A and B has common factor 2, which contradicts our statement hence root 2 is an irrational number. Okay, what I said you, from the above we can say A and B has common factor 2. That means what? Which contradicts our statement. Which statement? Root 2 equal to a by b is the statement which is wrong. And if the a by b equal to wrong, then root 2 equal to r by s also wrong. If root 2 equal to r by s is wrong, then root 2 is a rational number is also wrong. Then we can say hence, therefore root 2 is an irrational number. Root 2 is an irrational number. Okay. Now we shall discuss the second type of question which you can face in your exercise, that is the so that 5 minus root 3 is irrational. The question may be like that: 2 root 3, 2 plus root 3, 5 root 3, 2, 5 plus root 3. If there will be addition or subtraction or multiplication, anything or root 3 by 5, this type of question they may give. If any type of question will be given, only the procedure is the same, but the procedure and language is the same. Only the operations you may just change. That's why in this here also we'll use the same contradiction method. I already said you what is the contradiction method. Here now the answer is, let 5 minus root 3 is a rational number. If 5 minus root 3 is a rational number, then what we can say? Then 5 minus root 3 is equal to a by b, where a and b are co-primes and b not equals to 0, which I have not mentioned in the earlier question. You just mentioned in the b not equals to 0. Here see, as it is a 5 minus root 3 is equal to a by b, all are rational number, then I can represent in such a way 5 minus a by b equal to root 3. Then I can simply write root 3 equal to 5 minus a by b. See here I will just discuss first for the right side. Here 5 and a by b are rational, hence their difference also rational. Understand what I written? As 5 is a number, which is a rational number, we already know. A by B is a rational number because we have taken as the A by B, because every rational number is in the form of A by B or the P by Q. P by Q is the form in which A by B is the one of the number. Hence, 5 is a rational and A by B also rational. Then their difference also rational. How it will be? If I take A by B as the 1 by 2. See, if the A by B is the 1 by 2, then what will happen? This will be 2 LCM, 10 minus 1, 9 by 2. 9 by 2 is the rational number. In this time, if any number you will take, then 5 minus A by B is the rational number. Then we can say, if this is a rational number, then what will happen? Root 3 also rational number. Because we know LHS and RHS in both the middle is equal to sign is there. That means what? What is this here? The same thing is also in the left side also present. That means what? 5 minus A by B is the rational. Then we can simply say 5 also, root 3 also rational. But what we know, the root 2, root 3, root 5, root 7, these all are the irrational numbers. I already proved you for the root 2. You can just prove for the root 3 also. Then you can say, but we know root 3 is an irrational number. If root 3 is the irrational number, what it indicates? Rational number equal to irrational number. It's not possible. Because if it is be rational number equal to irrational number, then entire mathematics will be collapsed. Then we can simply say, if this is irrational number, then this will be the irrational number. But what our statement here happens? This is a rational number, this is irrational number. Means this entire statement is wrong. If this entire statement is wrong, this also entire statement is wrong. Then we can say this is also wrong. Means this is also wrong. Means A by B is not in the form of 5 minus root 3. That means what? 5 minus root 3 is not a rational number. Then we can say, we can write here, our assumption is wrong. Then we can say 5 minus root 3 is an irrational number. Hence, or therefore, 5 minus root 3 is an irrational number. You can write simply here. Understand what I said you? Here, let's take what I did. I took in the same contradiction method, where I took the 5 minus root 3 is a rational number. If it is a rational number, it can be represented the P by Q form. Then, as A and B are the co-prime numbers and B is not equal to 0, then just what I did, minus A by B, I took to the left side. Then root 3 equal 5 minus A by B. As 5 and A by B are rational number, hence the difference also rational number. But what we know, root 3 is a rational number. Irrational number equal to rational number will never be happen. Hence, 5 minus root 3 is the irrational number. Thank you. Dear students, I think I successfully completed the third exercise for you. I request you to kindly solve the question, third exercise and some more questions from the different reference material. And in addition to this, I would like to request you solve this type of question up to the first exercise, second exercise, third exercise. For you, I will make another one more video for the another exercise, and within this one, I will solve some of your doubts and which you have already asked me. Thanking you all, and once again I request you to, if anyone not subscribed to my channel, kindly subscribe to my channel. Thanking you all.